Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your Saturday Night Live Manchester United news. Hope you're all doing well. We like to do this on a Saturday sometimes. We're just going to do a different type of show. It's going to be led by you. I've got some big topics, but it's not going to be your normal sort of show. I want to talk about some of the things I've read this week that I want to bring in. I want to talk about the Mbeumo link and why it's a load of crap. I also want to talk about whether selling Scott McTominay was a mistake. Graham Souness has spoken about that. Mason Greenwood and the potential money we can earn there. Why Man United could have 4 of the best players under 20 at the club by the start of next season. And a few other bits as well. And anything you want to bring in. I really want to just make it very, topical, but also let's get through quite a few bits as well. So I'm very interested to get my teeth into the McTominay stuff. And also, big up the community. Obviously, the live show was done this week in Dublin. It's going to be out for everybody. By the end of this show, if someone reminds me, we're whacking it public for everybody to watch. So, thanks everybody who's seen it already. I think you're all going to get to see it from 9 o'clock tonight. It's going out. So there you go. Loads of people have messaged us, members, etc. So thank you very much for that. Have you done a U-turn on McTominay, says Shah. We'll talk about that. B. Gino, welcome to the Members Club as well. Before we get into this though, Saturday Night Live on the United Stand is sponsored by Boohoo Man, which means we've got a bit of trivia for you as well. But don't forget, Boohoo Man, if you don't know what it is, we love Boohoo Man here on the United Stand. You can get a 10% discount with the code GOLDBRIDGE by scanning the code or going through the link in the description. Boohoo Man is basically loads and loads of clothing that you can get delivered to your door, whether it's gym wear, five-a-side wear, Netflix and chill wear, underwear. They've got the lot. Jumpers, hoodies, jeans, coats, the lot. All delivered to your door. Lots of discounts across the website, but you also get 10% on the top of any discount anyway. So if they've got 60%, you can add the extra 10% on with the code GOLDBRIDGE. Link in the description, delivered to your door, scan the QR code, etc. Big shout out to Boohoo Man for that. But they also like to be a bit interactive with our community, and they always have done. So can you guess the Manchester United player I'm talking about here? I was born in Warrington on the 15th of December 1992. He's actually been speaking. I can speak. He's been speaking. He's done an interview today, which I'm not going to talk about because I find it bloody boring, and irrelevant. But I've given you a hint there. After a number of loans to lower league clubs, Louis van Gaal gave me a big break in 2015. I won the League Cup, FA Cup, Community Shield, and Europa League all in the space of 1 year. My most famous moment was scoring an outrageous goal to win the 2016 FA Cup final. You could say it's that, or it was a stupid video where he went beans, beans, beans. I left Man United in 2022, and I now play in South Korea. Who am I? Well, you should know who it is. It's, of course, Jesse Lingard. A lot of people have got that. Links in the description. Scan the QR code. Big shout out to Boohoo Man. And you can get an extra 10% off with the code GOLDBRIDGE. Thank you very much to that. So, look, let's open it up. Saturday Night Live. Cheers, everybody. Thanks, everyone who's tuning in. And it was well worth tuning in because you now know that the Dublin show is now live for you all to watch. You'll get Danny from the script playing the show out at the end. You'll get my opening 20 minutes. You'll get the quiz to play. You'll get Bricky losing his shit with a pint of Guinness in his hand. It's all there for you to watch. So give it a go. With that, I'm not interested in the mic glitching. It glitches for some people. It doesn't glitch for others. If the moderators could just block them, that would be absolutely great. It's Saturday night. Some of us are enjoying the show. If it's glitching for you, we've had this before, tough shit, go and do something else. It's not glitching for most people. So there we go. Let's get on with the show. I'm ignoring all of those comments and block the lot of them. Okay, so let's get into it. I want to start off by talking about what I think is actually a perfect topic for a Saturday night. Scott McTominay, Graham Souness saying that Man United made a mistake letting Scott McTominay go. I want to talk about Mbeumo. I want to talk about how we've probably got 3 of the best players under the age of 20 at the football club at the moment. I want to talk about this Greenwood story as well. But I think we rarely get to have these sort of conversations. And I think sometimes football can be really we don't get a chance to talk about this stuff enough, I don't think. And I think that flip-flop, basically. And I don't think we made a mistake getting rid of Scott McTominay. I think the fact that he's gone to Napoli and done quite well is important. But I don't think we made a mistake. And I think this is sometimes the problem with certain aspects of this fan base, and certainly with the mainstream. They do a little bit of research and they speak out their arse. Scott McTominay wanted to leave Manchester United. He literally said it in the summer that he wanted to go and start playing first team football, which he wasn't guaranteed at Man United. So first of all, McTominay wanted to go. Second of all, Erik ten Hag, the manager, didn't want him to go. Third of all, Ineos did the deal so that they could buy Ugarte. So there's three big reasons there why Scott McTominay went. One of them, he wanted to go and play first team football. He wanted to go to Napoli. Two of them, Ten Hag didn't want him to go. But thirdly, Ineos wanted to sell him to raise the funds to buy Ugarte. So there's no mistake there. Ten Hag was the manager, he didn't want him to go. McTominay wanted to go, and Ineos wanted to sell him to raise money for Ugarte. So it's sort of irrelevant what Graham Souness says, because ultimately the decision was made in good faith, and there was three conflicting things there. Fourthly, he wouldn't fit in an Amorim system. And anybody who thinks he would is talking out their arse, because he can't play a pivot, and he's certainly not the sort of number 10 that Amorim would want. So sometimes players move on for the right reasons and do well. It doesn't mean you made a mistake. Wan-Bissaka is more of a mistake than Scott McTominay, and most people felt that moving Wan-Bissaka on for Dalot was the right thing to do. And in hindsight, you could argue that we might have been better off keeping Wan-Bissaka over Dalot. So I don't think we made a mistake with that at all. I really, really don't. But let me know in the comments if you do. 1 minute, I've just got to send this. Good stuff. Okay, love you, Goldie, says Joey. Thank you very much. And Jake Lambert says, finally became a member to watch the Dublin show, and it was cracking. Been watching since before you had 500k. Glad to see United Stand doing well. Glazers out. Thank you very much. Get in, lads, says Rub. Hi, Mark. Thank you and the team for everything you do, says Leroy. Oh, it's lovely to get some nice messages in the chat instead of moaners. Thank you very much for that. But Rob Always United says, Souness is a prat. I just think that this is what we're up against sometimes. As a modern fan, people are always looking for a way to moan. And I was listening, it's funny, I was listening to Lewis Hamilton today in relation to the F1 because he won the sprint race for Ferrari. And he was like, you know, people I respect have just been moaning about me. And I'm like, you know, I'm moving to a new team. I've never played for this, I've never driven for this team before. It's going to take me time to adjust, but we're in for the long term. And I think that in football, it's very similar. People just moan for the sake of moaning. And I'm a moaner, you're a moaner, but I try not to moan without context. And I think that the Scott McTominay thing is just for morons. It's for basic low IQ people who don't actually think it through. Scott McTominay wanted to go. Ten Hag wanted him to stay. Ineos wanted to sell him to buy Ugarte. We didn't make a mistake then, did we? We literally didn't make a mistake because there was three different opinions in there that were nothing to do with the fan base. So we didn't make a mistake with Scott McTominay. We didn't make a mistake at all. And Ugarte fits the system better than McTominay. So we didn't make a mistake. I think it's great. He's doing well. And I really hope he wins the Italian league. But I think we all did. I think he did. I think we made the right decision. And when you look at Manchester City and other football clubs, they do this regularly. They sell well. Player goes off and does well, and they still succeed. That is where we fail. There is nothing wrong with selling players and them going off and doing well. Man City don't look at players going off and doing well and go, oh no, we made a mistake. They go, thanks for the money, that's pure profit, see you later. I mean, how many ex-players have Man City got that have done reasonably well? Cole Palmer, Liam Delap. We were talking about Mika this afternoon, Micha. I mean, the list is endless, absolutely endless. We had to sell, and he was the only person we could, says Keel. Selling Scott was not a mistake. He was not a player for this system. He is playing right where he fits in a league that's not as quick. Live show was ace, Mark. That show gets the 7 shirt, says GJR. And Patrick Lynch says, I think we as fans need to just ignore talk about former players doing well elsewhere. It never helps. Focus who's on at the club, who can actually do something for us, says Patrick. As I said, Patrick, you always speak sense, as do many of you, but I actually think the only player that we maybe made a mistake selling last summer was Wan-Bissaka. And even I agree, I did agree with that at the time. But look, We haven't made a mistake getting Marcus Rashford and Anthony out. They'll be the next ones. Oh, we've made a mistake. We didn't make a bloody mistake, did they? They weren't doing it in a Man United shirt, so they needed to be moved on. That's where I sort of sit on that. We had to sell. He was the only person, says Keel. Just on Mason Greenwood, actually. No. There was something in there that, yes, the number 7 shirt that MUFC said. I think Terry spoke about this the other night, and I definitely wanted to bring it in. I want to talk about De Gea as well. I really hope we can do more of these Saturday Night Live shows, because they're not going to be like other shows. They're going to really get into themes that we don't really get the chance to. I want to talk about De Gea. I tweeted today I'd bring De Gea back. I haven't read the replies. I haven't read what your thoughts are, but I'm going to talk about that if we get time. But the number 7 shirt, I just want to say, Manchester United Football Club is owned by mercenaries and acts like mercenaries. All we're interested in is money. Football fans of Man United want to be good on the football pitch. But I tell you what, for a football club that is all about brand and money, you are absolute morons. What you've done to the number 7 shirt makes no business sense at all, you absolute shower of prats. Now, I want to see the number 7 shirt for Manchester United in every match day because it means something to me in a footballing sense. George Best, Eric Cantona, Cristiano Ronaldo, David Beckham, Brian Robson. This is football heritage. The number 7 shirt for Manchester United actually means something in a footballing sense. That shirt should be on a Man United fucking football pitch 99% of the time. For the last 2 years, it's been off the pitch 99% of the time. It is iconic. Absolutely iconic. And you are a fucking brand. You get a stiffy for a fucking brand deal. So what are you doing at that football club? You know, this shirt has a value in revenue and you've retired it. Like, it's pissing me off. Maybe it's a couple of glasses of red that does it, but it absolutely pisses me off. The number 7 shirt for Manchester United has been retired. I do not give a shit about Mason Mount's bloody feelings. Mason Mount is not Manchester United. This is footballing heritage over decades. Take the number 7 shirt off him and give it to somebody else that's actually going to play. Because we've got 3 or 4 years more of Mason Mount, and for the last 2 years, he's been injured for 90% of it. If he's going to do it over the next 2 years, that means we'll get to nearly 4 or 5 years where the number 7 shirt never bloody on the pitch. They've got to do something about it. There we go. There we go. There you go. There's your Saturday night rant. The number 7 shirt and its treatment at Manchester United is diabolical. And also, we're sacking people, we're raising ticket prices, we're knocking Old Trafford down, we're cutting money to charities. If we had a number 7 in the first team, we would sell more shirts, which would be more revenue. You put that number 7 shirt on the back of Bruno, or the back of Garnacho, or the back of Ahmad, you will sell more fucking shirts. Just get the number 7 shirt on a player that actually plays for the fucking club. It's not anti-Mason Mount, it's bloody common sense. Business sense and also footballing sense. Needs to be on the pitch. Doesn't get spoken about enough. Embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing what we've done to the number 7 shirt. Now, I want it on the pitch because I'm a football fan, but from a business point of view, it's like retiring Barcelona's number 10. You know, it makes no sense. Absolutely not. Frederick, welcome to the members club. Thank you very much. I've just had a message from Danny. I don't think he'll mind. He's just messaged me saying 100% about the number 7 shirt. It's a disgrace. Legend. Well said, that shirt was a cash cow for decades. I don't want to see Old Trafford knocked down and be called the Snapdragon Stadium, but we'll do it. But glaringly obvious everybody's going to be on board with it. Put the number 7 shirt on a first teamer and let's reap the benefits of it, you know? In 99, I loved Beckham. Obviously, I loved Beckham. But I knew in 99, when I went to get my shirt printed in May 99, you know what shirt I put on it? You know what number I put on it? 7. Didn't put Beckham on it. 7. I've got a 99 shirt, bought in May 99, and it's got 7 on the back. Because I knew in years to come, that's the shirt that mattered. It will always be the shirt that matters. Frederick, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. I feel selling De Gea was definitely a mistake. I regret it deeply, says Annabin. Thoughts on us being linked to Chris Riggs, says Glazers out. I mean, maybe that's one for the morning show, but we have been linked to him in the past at Sunderland, and you know, it wouldn't surprise me if we were. look, this is the Saturday night theme. Let's hit themes that maybe aren't topical, but are quite, you know, inflammatory, but, you know, we want to talk about them. I tweeted out this afternoon on Twitter. I refuse to call it X. I tweeted it out this afternoon that, well, I'll read you it. I'll read you it. Don't you worry. I will read you it. I can't find it. Here it is. I'd take David De Gea back at United. There, I've said it. Still got 3 more years at the top, and he's got the experience of playing at the club. Slow Sports News, top reply. I would. Anything is better than Onana. Bex, I have to agree. Here comes all the bandwagon fans who scream, get De Gea out of my club, now trying to change their tune, says Bearded. Let's get Ashley Young and Fellaini while we're at it, says Fergie Fortress. Look, it was always going to divide opinion, but would you not bring David De Gea back? I mean, what David De Gea? What? How old are you, mate? 32, 33? Goalkeepers can play until they're 37 at the top level. He's 34. Okay. He's a little bit older than I thought, but I'd bring David De Gea back. He knows that club. He knows that dressing room. I'd bring him back. We're not going to bring him back. But all I'm saying is I would bring him back. I'd bring him back in a bloody heartbeat. I think that we don't play out from the back anyway, and he's a much better goalkeeper than what we've got. I'm not talking about the mistake we made 2 years ago or anything like that, but I would bring him back. Of course I bloody would. I don't even know why it would even be an issue. Mount is the worst signing, more than Sancho, says Keel. Love the video of the Dublin show. Will the 25 million fine for not buying Sancho be pure profit and can be invested into transfers, says Matty. No, we still have another year of Sancho on his contract, so no, it wouldn't be pure profit. I think it's about 16 million we need to clear. Edge, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for that. And are they actually going to retire the number 7 shirt, says Roblox? No, so yeah, look, I just throw that out. I mean, I don't think it's much of a debate, really, De Gea, but I would definitely bring him back. Somebody mentioned Sancho there. Maybe some of you can, just to bring a little bit of news in, maybe some of you can explain this one to me, but I've seen a couple of people over the last 48 hours talking about Mbeumo to Manchester United. And these are the sort of stories that really do sort of irritate me. We can talk about Yildiz, we can talk about Tyler Dibbling, we can talk about Jonathan David, because let's be honest, there's probably a chance. What's the logic around Mbeumo to Man United? Can somebody explain to me why Mbeumo would come to Man United or why Man United would win that race? And yet, you get people going, oh yeah, I'd bring Mbeumo, like we're doing him a bloody favour. Oh yeah, I'd take, you know what, I tell you what, can I just shock you all? Can you just sit down for a moment? I really want to just shock you. I'd take Mbeumo at Man United. I bloody would, you know, call me stupid, but I'll tell you what, I'd do him a favour, I'd bring him to Man United. I reckon he could do a job for us. Mate, this is a player that's going to be looked at by the top clubs in the Premier League and in Europe. His goal-scoring record from the wing for Brentford this season has been elite. And yet, we've got Man United fans going, oh yeah, I'll take Mbeumo. You know what? I think it might work. And I don't know who's linking this to him, but I've seen it a few times. Maybe someone in the chat can tell me. So Mbeumo's 25. He's not 29. He's 25. He's had an immense season at Brentford, who lost Ivan Toney and everyone thought they'd get relegated. He's been arguably their best player, goals and assists, proven himself in a team that hasn't got Mo Salah and Diaz and Alexi McAllister around him. And yet, we're going to buy him. Well, the bidding's going to start at 50 million quid. Forget about it. Forget about it. Not a chance are we going to do deals like this. And it's irritating because we actually have people who think it's worth writing about. We actually have people who think it's worth discussing. We're not going to get a player like this. We're not going to do it. They're just not going to go, let's pay 50, 60 million pounds on a 25-year-old from Brentford. We're not going to do it. I agree he'd be a good signing, Carl, but we're not doing it. For the same reason, we're not going to sign Gyökeres at 26, because we're owned by mercenaries and they don't want to spend money on good players that don't have a resale value. They want to retain or improve the value of every player they bring in. They want bloody Lenny Yoro at 18. That's what they want. They want Dorgu at 20. They want players that you spend amount of money on, but in 4 years' time, they're worth more. So we're not going to spend money on Mbeumo, whose value is just going to drop over the next 3 or 4 years. We're not going to do it. And also, we ain't got the bloody money to do it. And also, Brentford are a Premier League side. They ain't going to mess around. Brentford don't need to go. We're not worthy. Man United are here. Let's do them a good deal. Brentford are going to go, we finished higher than you in the table. If you want our best player, you can give us 60 million because we don't need to sell. Brentford didn't do anybody a favour on Ivan Toney. They sold him to Saudi Arabia and they made a load of money. So I don't get the Mbeumo story. This is probably one of the biggest things that defeats Man United fans these days, is that we still think we can trot off to Everton and get Branthwaite for 45 million or Mbeumo for 40 million or Mateta for 35 million. These are clubs that are wealthy in a league that we play in that don't need to sell unless these players have got 1 year left on their contract, and none of them do. Look, we were right to walk away from the Branthwaite deal, but Everton had every right to charge us 70 million quid and we had every right to walk away. We're not going to get Mbeumo. I don't know why we're even talking about it. I don't know, let's go and get him. No, let's not. And actually, let's not go and get him because the money needs to be spent better elsewhere. Evening, Mark. It hasn't been mentioned too much how damaging the leadership talking publicly about our finances is. It was vital to rebuild our reputation in the market, but they're weakening us, says James. I think this is a really interesting point by James, actually. And it's not one I'm 100% sure I've thought through. Look, if you want to negotiate with anybody, you don't want to let them know how much money you've got in your pocket. You know, if you've got $1 million in your pocket and you're trying to buy something for 800 grand, you don't want them knowing you've got $1 million in your pocket. On the other hand, if you're trying to buy something for 800 grand and you've only got 700 grand, you don't want them knowing that either. You don't want people to know what you've got in your pocket because that weakens your negotiations. United have made it very obvious to the world that they are broke. So, of course, people will bid low on people we want to sell and they will overcharge on people we want to buy because they know that we're desperate. But that's part of the PR game, isn't it? Man United have obviously decided that they would rather weaken their position in negotiations and lower expectation with the fans than have high expectations with the fans knowing that they haven't got any money. So I agree with you, James, by being public with United fans about the fact that we've got no money. But on the other hand, they've just sacked half the workforce. That's going to be public. So, you know, it is what it is. This transfer window, we hit rock bottom, says Keel. Can you call Evie a prat, says it's Wilco. And United should be in for the Espanyol goalkeeper, Garcia, easily the best keeper in La Liga this season, says Joey. Tony Marshall says, I remember you said when we were linked to Thuram on a free that he would not be good enough. Smashing it at Inter, Jonathan David is a must. That doesn't mean anything though, mate. Chris Smalling smashed it at Roma. Scott McTominay smashing it at Napoli. Lukaku smashed it in Italy. Ashley Young smashed it. You know, it's just because Thuram's doing well at Inter doesn't mean that he'd do well at... I mean, look, maybe I was wrong. But maybe he's just doing it in a different league. You know, the Premier League's a different animal. Maybe he would. Look, but flip the coin the other way. Isak at... Where was Isak? Spain? Was he at Sociedad? Isak wasn't scoring many goals. Comes to the Premier League, starts scoring goals. So it can work different ways. 2 years at the top level, another 3 as a utility player and mentor to younger goalkeepers. I'd take him back today, says Jackie Boy about De Gea. And River Manu says, put the number 7 on Garnacho. There is no player at the club today that has shown he is heir to their shirt. I have hopes for Ahmed, but not Garnacho. It'd be better than bloody Mason Mount, mate. You may as well put the number 7 shirt on me. I'd sell more number 7 shirts than Mount. Just turn around and go, here it is. You know, yeah, joke. I saw a lot of people talking about Cherky, Andre, and tonight's the night to talk about him. I saw Cherky play for the under-21s, and I'm confident now that Leon can knock us out. Do Ineos actually have the financials to get transfers in without the Champions League? How come we're being linked to so many players? As one of you said on the chat this morning, Man United have got more links than a gold chain at the moment. And that's a fair analogy as somebody who does analogies. But I think that it's really difficult to predict what we're doing. Part of me thinks we might have a deal or two lined up early in the summer because it's always a good idea to do that. But then on the other hand, part of me thinks that, look at last summer, we wouldn't buy De Ligt and Mazraoui till Wan-Bissaka had gone, and we wouldn't buy Agate until we'd got rid of McTominay. But we did do the Xerxes deal and the Euro deal, so maybe the same thing will happen again. Would you bring Scooby-Doo back at the end of his career? Why? Jacob, why? No. Would you pay £200 per week for a top free agent striker? Mate, £200,000 a week. Would I think you've got that. I've got to read that right, Keel. Would you pay £200,000 a week for a free agent striker? No, because it's never just that, is it? There's a signing on fee as well with regards to that. Don't think you would want to do it, Mark, but just had a look at how many saves would have saved just this season. Oh my God, says Chris Statham. Oh mate, if we'd had De Gea in goal this season, we wouldn't be in the top 4, but we'd be better off, wouldn't we? Certainly. Hope your road shows go well, Mark. Respect. Always good to hear someone digging players out, regardless what club they play for, says Nobby. Unless it was Osimhen or Gyökeres, no. I would pay 200 grand a week to Gyökeres or Osimhen. Yes. I wouldn't pay 200 grand a week to Jonathan David because he was free. No. That's the biggest mistake you can make. When's the Dublin video being released, says John? 9 o'clock. I'll change it from members to public. And I'll drop the link in the video description for you. Better signing for us, Gyökeres or Humlen? Gyökeres. We do need an experienced striker. It would benefit Rasmus as well. It really, really would. Which reminds me, actually, I know Rasmus doesn't actually fit into this, but I was reading something today, and I don't know where the list is coming from, but they were basically saying that if Manchester United bought Yildiz from Juventus, who I spoke about on the morning show, if United were to buy Yildiz from Juventus, they would have 4 of the top 20 players in the world under the age of 20 or under. And they listed Mainu, Yoro, Garnacho, and Yildiz in the top 20 players in the world at the moment who are 20 or under. And it did get me thinking that, is that something to be excited about or is it not? I mean, look, there's a lot of clubs in Europe. And if you've got 4 of the top 20, then, it's not to be sniffed at, is it? I mean, how many have Liverpool got? How many have Arsenal got? How many have Man City got? How many have Chelsea got? How many have Real Madrid got? So it's not bad, is it? Obviously, it's a subjective list, and we haven't bought Yildiz, but let's just say we've got 3 of the top 20 players in the world who are 20 or under at the moment. It's not bad. It's good. Now, some of you might say I don't agree about Mainu, Garnacho or Yoro, but look, it's not our list. I just read about this list, and I certainly think Garnacho is considered to be one of the top players under 20 anyway. Mainu probably is, and so is Yoro. So, I mean, it's not a bad starting point. Look, Heaven, we wouldn't be in there at the moment, would he? But, Obi Martin, there are others that can join that list. So, I think that's something you should be encouraged by, regardless of the situation of the football club. But I'd still go back and say this. What if we had 10 of the best players who are 20 or under? It ain't going to win us the league. There's never been a team in the world that's won the league by having 10 of the best players under 20 in it. And there's no guarantee that those players will be the best players in the world at 25 if they don't get proper development. Experience was where I wanted to go with this. You can have potential, but if potential is not realised, you don't realise the potential. So having 4 or 5 of the best players in the world under 20 doesn't mean that in 5 years' time you're going to have one of the best teams in the world. We are a case point. Real Madrid are a case point. Barcelona are a case point. With young players, they have to have players around them to nurture them and teach them. Because youth without experience can lose its way. 100%. You've got to have a mentor. You've got to have a guide. You've got to have knowledge. And where United, for me, need to be very, very careful is that, yeah, we keep buying all these young players. Dorgu is another one. And obviously we've been linked to others. But I think we need to be very, very, very careful about the fact that we're buying and accumulating a lot of young players, but there is no blueprint in history of a team that buys loads of players who are 20 or under and becomes a good team in 5 years' time. It's never happened. Never happened. There is always a core of experienced players to help them come through. And I think that's where United are probably going to be lacking. Jonathan David, 3 million signing on fee and 150k a week, yes or no? Says BG, no. Yeah, but the context on that is so layered, isn't it? Like, do I want Jonathan David? No. Do I want Jonathan David instead of Liam Delap? Yes. Do I want Jonathan David instead of Osman? No. Do I want him instead of Gyökeres? No. Do I want him instead of Ekitike? No. So you're throwing out baits, but I don't know what else is coming out. Jonathan David would not be in my top 5 strikers for Manchester United. Is he realistic? Is he cheap? Yes. Is he realistic? Yes. Is he more likely than Gyökeres or Osman? Yes. Is he a bad striker? No. Is he somebody that's going to keep Arne Slot or Pep Guardiola or Mikel Arteta or Eddie Howe awake at night throughout the summer going, oh my God, Man United have got Jonathan David? No. Is it a reflection of where we are as a football club? Yes. Do I hope it works if we do it? Yes. What's your thoughts on Denmark's player, says JC? I don't have any. Better signing for us, Gyökeres or Humlin. We've done that from Suddy. Is Shaw done, says SA. Oh, well, I'll come on to that in a moment. What was that other thing I said I was going to talk about if I had time? I think it was De Gea, and I did it. I want to talk about... Oh, yeah, I want to talk about Greenwood, actually, very quickly. Apparently, he's been on the bench for the last 2 games for Marseille, including their game against PSG. Bit of a falling out with De Zerbi around application and attitude. Don't really know because I don't watch a lot of French football, but this could be quite good for Manchester United because it could lead to a sale. He's scored a lot of goals in the French league. And if he is sold, we get 50% of any profit on the 25 million that Marseille paid us for him. So if he was to go for 50 million quid, we would get half of 25. So we'd get another 12.5 million. So that's a bonus for Manchester United. Every little bit helps. And yeah, I mean, I don't know where Greenwood would go. Where do you think... The reason I wanted to bring it in on the Saturday night show is because we'd normally talk about it in, oh, this is the story, this is what we think. But where do you think he would grow? I mean, he's not a Man United player. Where do you think Mason Greenwood goes for 50 million quid? That's the thing I would say. Who's going to pay 50 million pounds for Mason Greenwood? Do you think the Premier League's going to have the money, but do you think there's a Premier League football club that would do it? I mean, it's, you know, we all know what the accusations were that he was cleared of. Do you think there's an English club willing to do that at the moment? I think there might be. I think there might be. I think Man United haven't got a bloody hope, but I can see him back in the Premier League at some point. Italy, I don't know whether they'd have 50 million quid. Really? I don't know. Maybe PSG. Look, there's no... I mean, I called him a generational talent. I'm not going to change that mind. But there could be a little bit of money for Man United. Atletico Madrid makes sense, yeah. I suppose it does. But at the end of the day, we could make another 10, 12 million pounds out of it. Just on Jadon Sancho as well, a few people have mentioned it in the chat because Fabrizio was talking about it. He's just clarified what we already know, really. Chelsea have an obligation to buy for about 20, 25 million pounds. if he plays enough games and they finish in the top half of the table, which they will do. They also have the opportunity to send him back, but they've got to pay us a fee if they do that. What Fabrizio has said is that at the moment, Chelsea haven't made a decision. Obviously, they're going out for Champions League football. Man United don't want Sancho back and aren't thinking about him coming back. I mean, you never say never in football, because if you say never and it happens, you know, you're just setting yourself up for a fall. But realistically, surely there's a huge part of him that never would come back to Man United as well. It would be embarrassing for him. What about going for Roma's Zalewski as a wing-back? Young but established Polish international, little bit underestimated, but great technique and pace, says Ziadek Zaszek. Mate, I don't care whether they're Polish or French. It makes no difference to me. If they are well scouted and they're going to help us as a football club, then it really doesn't matter. Yeah, doesn't make any difference to me at all. Start chucking some of your questions in. Enjoying that. Really enjoyed the chat about McTominay in the number 7 shirt. I do think we need to bring some experience in, though. And I suppose it depends what you define as experience, but I think we do need some more experience into that team. I was having this chat, funnily enough, before the show on Wednesday. I always do this when I do a show in Dublin. I normally have to get to the venue for about 6 for an 8 o'clock show. So I'll head down the Hairy Lemon for a couple of pints before at about 3 o'clock with a couple of the lads, and we'll end up having a chat. And I was saying on Wednesday that we were talking about Bruno, funnily enough, because obviously Bruno at the moment is having a bit of a glow up, isn't he? And I was saying that, you know, Bruno's obviously doing very well at the moment, but I basically said that I would keep Bruno. I think he's a very important team player, and he's very important to our team, and he's the best that we've got. But I would replace him as captain tomorrow if I could. To which the reply was, with who? And I went, well, what, past or present? And they were like, take your pick. And I said, well, I mean, I'd take Van Dijk at centre-back. Of course I would. And I'd give him the captaincy. I'd bring Roy Keane back tomorrow and have him in the same team as Bruno and give him the captaincy. And my point is, I wouldn't drop Bruno, but I think Man United would be a better team with a more experienced captain and more leadership. And that's not taking anything away from Bruno. The point I'm actually making is, away from Bruno, is that we do need more experience in that team. Bruno is experienced, but we need more than that. We've already spoken about what the team is like when Bruno goes off. It gets worse. Bruno can be putting in a 3 out of 10 and deserve to be subbed. But if you take him off, the team will get worse. So that team is... I hope I'm making the point, because the point is this. It's not, you know, don't call Ricky up. He's on a stag do in Lisbon. I told you. You know, I'm not actually talking about Bruno. My point is, this team needs more experience. That's what I'm saying. And whilst Bruno brings experience, and whilst Bruno is the best captain we have, I'm telling you now, if you put in another experienced player into that team, we'd be an even better team. Bruno would be an even better player. The youth would develop even better. So I'm not falling into the trap that Bruno's the solution. I actually think we're probably 2 or 3 Brunos down. Like, I genuinely think that if we had a prime Casemiro, we'd be a better team. I think if we had a prime Lewandowski, we'd be a better team. I think if we had an experienced striker and an experienced midfielder, we'd be a better team. So we can buy all these young players, and we don't need to sell Bruno, but what I'm saying is, we do lack 2 really experienced players in that team. And I think De Ligt gives experience. I like De Ligt, you know I really do. But even with De Ligt, even with Bruno, that team lacks experience. I think you need an experienced striker to share the load with Rasmus. And I think you need an experienced midfielder to help out Ugarte, Collier, Mainu, etc. So I actually think it's glaring. I mean, look, what have I just said about the goalie? I'd bring De Gea back for experience as well. I think that team lacks experience. Harry Maguire is an experienced player, the same as Johnny Evans is, but he's not necessarily good enough to start. We need experienced starters in that team. And that's why I would bring De Gea back. That's why I would have some sort of prime Casemiro in the midfield and an experienced striker, because it would make Bruno better and it would make the team better. JC says, Madrid having a 40-year-old Modric, Man United can learn from them. You know what? I think that's a great point, because the reason Casemiro needs to go is because he's fell off. It's not because of his age. Age doesn't matter. You know, Ronaldo at 37 was still our best player. He's about 4 or 5 years. You know, Casemiro's 4 or 5 years younger. Casemiro could play for Man United till he was 36 for me, if he was still doing what he did in his first season. The problem is he's fell off. So if you can find experienced players that can play, yeah, definitely. What about, I've done that one from Zajek as well. Thank you very much. Keep your questions coming in. Ricky with a pint in one hand and a list of reasons why Bruno is useless. Mate, we're going to make the live show public at 9 o'clock tonight, as soon as this show finishes. In fact, I'll do it while we're live. The Ricky bit in the first half is hilarious. Walks out stage with a Guinness and a list of an actual piece of paper listing stuff out. And also says that Jadon Sancho oozes class. Why are most targets ex-City Academy was bad enough with Sancho? Now it's Delap, Frimpong, Mika, Trafford. I don't want the class of City 2019 at Old Trafford, says Shane. Well, it just shows you that no matter how much we talk about United's youth team and buying young players, Man City have been at it for years, haven't they? Absolute years. Lots of love in the chat for De Ligt, which is good to see. I think it's bloody disgraceful. I saw Scholesy on about it the other day, and he sort of like admitted that De Ligt's been doing well at the moment. And that's great, but can we have a conversation about why you wrote him off from day one? Can we have a conversation about why Souness said that he's not physical enough and somebody else said he's slow? Like, people went for De Ligt before he'd even kicked a ball for Man United. I mean, we even got ridiculous stories about, well, he can't be that good because Juventus and Bayern Munich and Ajax all got rid of him. No, what actually happened is he was like 19, captain of an Ajax side that got to a Champions League semi-final and won the league. Then everybody wanted him and he signed for Juventus. And then at Juventus, Bayern Munich wanted him and paid big money for him. And then at Bayern Munich, he fell out of favour with Tuchel and United did a deal. And Bayern Munich fans were doing protests about it. So this is what I mean about it's like what Souness said about McTominay. Man United never should have sold him. Oh, hold on a minute. The player wanted to go. Ten Hag didn't want him to go. And Ineos wanted him to go to raise funds because they needed to sell to buy. So not really a mistake, was it? And hold on a minute. De Ligt didn't fail at Juventus and Ajax and Bayern Munich. There's a story of progression. And then there's a story of a manager that sort of didn't like him and the fans wanted him to stay. I think De Ligt's been brilliant for Manchester United, but I'll never really understand what it is about ex-players and media in our country that just make their minds up in a biased way before they've even started playing for Manchester United. It's incredible, and it happens with loads and loads of players. But I've seen De Ligt play. I saw him at Ajax, and I wanted him to. We got linked to him. He was a Mino Raiola client. I liked De Ligt. I remember that summer. There was a bloody Pratt in the No account, it was telling us that the De Ligt deal was done. I remember that summer, and it didn't happen. He went to Juventus. But I liked De Ligt. I'd have been over the bloody moon if we'd bought him from Ajax. At Juventus, I thought he did well, and then he went to Bayern Munich. And at Bayern Munich, I thought he was a good player. I've always thought De Ligt was a good player. My only concern with De Ligt, if I'm being completely honest, was injury. That was what I thought was the problem. I thought De Ligt had injury problems. That was my issue. But touch wood in a Man United shirt. I mean, he's not Varane, is he? He's not Yoro. He's not Maguire. He's probably been our fittest centre-back with Mazraoui, which, funnily enough, 2 signings in the summer, both been ridiculously fit. So I think De Ligt's been fantastic. A lot of people are talking about Bruno being player of the year for Manchester United. I've got to be honest with you, he may deserve it, but he'll only deserve it because, I mean, has Bruno been brilliant all season? I tell you what, people weren't talking about Bruno being player of the year at the end of January. He's had a good last 2 months, but Ahmad was going to get it. And De Ligt and Mazraoui have been the most consistent players this season. So, you know, I'm not saying Bruno won't win player of the year. He probably will. But let's not forget Mazraoui and De Ligt have been ridiculously consistent for Man United this season. And considering it's their first season, I don't know why that doesn't get noticed more. They won't win it, because it's not fashionable to say it's De Ligt or Mazraoui, but bloody hell, experienced players, yes. First season, yes. Chaotic season, yes. They've been very, very consistent. De Ligt is the perfect replacement for Varane, says Mrs. Stone. And I agree. I think he has been brought in as the Varane replacement. And look, I liked Varane. They got it right. Varane's retired. Why are most... I've done that one, thank you very much. We do need another left-footed centre-back, though, says Pizza. Well, I think Heaven is a left-footed centre-back. Martinez... I'm only repeating what I've said before. I'm worried about Martinez. I mean, for me, you know, I've got my hoodie, Butcher, pat. I really like Martinez, but I am worried. I said it when he did his knee. I'm worried about Martinez because when you look at the last 2 years, he's probably been injured as much as Mason Mount. You know, when you think about the foot injury, he has missed 2 very big years in his career, in his mid-20s. He won't be back till Christmas. The injuries he's had are bad, and the game he plays is aggressive. We may not see Martinez play consistently for Man United again. I would balance that by saying Van Dijk did his cruciate in his late 20s and now is one of the most consistent players in world football. So he can come back, but I do worry about Martinez because it just feels like for the last 2 years we've never used him. But there are positives. Yoro has played left-sided centre-back. De Ligt can do it. Aiden Heavens played there as well. So at least the pressure isn't there on Martinez. Like he's just got to get himself back, really, hasn't he? But I think we're well stacked. I think we need to bring another centre back in, but I think we are well stacked when you think about De Ligt, Mazraoui, Yoro, Heaven, Martinez to come back. Maguire's going to be here another year. So yeah, I think we are quite well stacked there. Better medical care for Van Dijk, though, says Alex. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think that's probably a fair analysis. Need competition for Dorgu. Delo doesn't cut it, says Simp. Yeah, I mean, look, you know, we're then getting back into the realms of what this summer transfer window is going to be for Manchester United. I tell you what I do find a little bit surprising at the moment. And obviously, look, I'm never not going to tell the truth. I think that, you know, we've been doing this for 10 years and there's stories that we've had where we've been ahead of the game. There's stories where we've been able to get verification on stuff. So even if it's not broken from here, if somebody breaks a story, we can normally go, is this true, and tell you and stuff like that. It's really difficult to do that around United at the moment. And, you know, I don't mind that. I like that. I like the fact that there's uncertainty. It can be quite exciting. But what I will say at the moment is I knew the March international break was going to go the way it has. Like, if you think about after the Leicester game to where we are today, we've been, you know, Jonathan David, Semenyo, Yildiz, Mika today. There's a number of players that I think we probably weren't talking about after the Leicester game that we are talking about now, and that's normal. The March international break is the time where players and agents are away from their club. I can really go, look, this is what we want to happen in the summer. Ekitike, obviously, is wanting to leave in the summer, and that's why there's a lot of talk. But what I find really interesting is that even just a naive look around, or even a few WhatsApps here and there, nobody's giving anything away, which always makes me think nobody knows anything. And And that's outgoings and incomings. Like, there's a lot of uncertainty. And my assessment on that is this. I don't think United know who they're buying, and I don't think United know who they're selling. And the reason I think that is because they haven't got a bloody clue. Now, that is worrying, because if you go back to when Ten Hag came in, he hadn't even been interviewed at this point. Rangnick was still in charge. We interviewed Pochettino and Ten Hag twice, at the end of March and at the start of April. And in the middle of April, we announced that Ten Hag had got the job, and he didn't start the job until the middle of May. And that's when he started. And we were all like, really difficult, because you've missed out on a load of stuff that other clubs are prepared for. Because clubs like Liverpool, Arsenal, etc. are well ahead now, talking to players that they want. They're prepared. Man United will have Amrim at the start of next season, so the excuse is not we're bringing another manager in. Man United have got their technical team, Man United have got their CEO, they've got their manager, but I don't think we've got a bloody clue what we're doing. And I don't think we've got a bloody clue what we're doing because we don't know what's going to happen at the end of the season with regards to the Europa League and financials. So my genuine fear and theory is that we haven't got a clue who we want, and we haven't got a clue who's going to go, which means we're probably in for a very similar summer to Ten Hag, but for a different reason. The Ten Hag summer was chaotic because he came in late. But I think we're going to be making our mind up late because we're not going to know until the end of May what position we're in with the Europa League. So I don't think we know who we're selling. I don't think we know who we're buying. And I certainly don't think we've got deals lined up either way at the moment. I don't even think we know where Rashford's going or anything like that. Well, I guarantee we don't. So I think that's the thing with United at the moment. There's lots and lots and lots of talk, but I don't think we've got a clue what we're doing. We're not prepared, as Greg Donald says. Heard they're looking at Yildiz, not sure if it's true. Well, we did speak about it this morning, Payne. I mean, I would like him. I would like him, but it's another young player, 19. Didn't we get linked to Frimpong as well, says Mrs. Stone. I don't know whether we've been linked to Frimpong. I remember talking about Frimpong, and I would like Frimpong. And I think he would fit the Amram team really, really well. But Frimpong was a player we were looking at under Ten Hag. So is that a less legacy link? Is it a player that we're actually looking at? Andre Gomez says, I think De Ligt having Heaven and Yoro as understudies will improve all three of them massively. Jackie Boy says, De Ligt isn't good. He won the, question mark. He says he won the Dutch, Italian and German leagues in 4 seasons. One of Ajax's youngest ever captains. Horrible take from pundits. Well, this is what I mean, Jackie. It's not like it's hard to find out. It's not like he's been playing in the bloody, playing in the El Salvador League, is it? You know? Yeah, just incredible, really. Incredible. Okay, right. Just while we're chatting away, I'm just going to make the Dublin video public. I'm just going to go in there. Here we go. It's called the United Stand 10-year anniversary live show. How do I make it public? Mate, come on. Mate, how do I do this? Am I in the wrong place? Come on! I don't want cards. Audience. What the hell? What? Okay. It's public. Yeah, it's public. Don't know what's going on there. Right, I'm going to drop the link in the video description. I'm also going to pop it in the live chat for you. So what a Saturday night treat for you. You can watch the United Stand live show from Wednesday night. I mean, if we don't treat you, we don't treat you, do we? It's an amazing show. I mean, you got Danny from the script singing us out at the end, answering some questions with me. There's a quiz in there. There's me for the first 20 minutes of the show. There's Beth and Ricky on there as well. By public demand, we've put that public for you. I'm going to whack it in the live chat for you there and pin it for you. And I tell you what, it's one of those things on a Saturday night that's going to be better than anything Netflix have got. You're going to love it. All I'd say is smash a like on subscribe, give it a watch, and enjoy it. Hopefully you'll enjoy it as much as we did as well. I'll drop it in the video description. Do you think Binder will be Europa goalkeeper when back? Good question, Mrs. Stone. I think he should be, but I don't think he will. Yeah, definitely. Check that out. I'll put it in the video description for you as well. Absolute legends, and I'm back with you in the morning. I'll probably be a little bit early in the morning because Seb's got a match. He's kicking off at 11, so I'll probably need to go live at about 9:30 instead of 10. But we'll have a morning show for you as well. Take care, everyone. Check out the live show. It's there for you in the live chat. I'll put it in the video description as well. I'll speak to you all in a bit.